You know how to book flights and hotels. All you're missing is a tool to plan the travel experiences you'll have once you arrive. That's why you need Viator. Book guided tours, excursions, and more in one place. There are over 300,000 travel experiences to choose from, so you can find something for everyone. And Viator offers free cancellation and 24/7 customer support for worry-free travel. Download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Yes, it's me. Hello, I am back again for some more fun this week. This almost feels like an extension. I feel like a natural extension for what we did last week. Except for instead of focusing on one character, I'm going to focus on a lot of different characters that have taught me and other people different kind of biblical lessons or acted them out or stuff that we've kind of learned some values from. I kind of thought this would be interesting, and I put this question out into our Facebook group and our Facebook fan page, also a few other groups, and got some responses from some people about different fictional characters that have had some sort of lasting impact on their lives and taught them something. And I thought it'd be very interesting, of course, to get into all of that. I thought Philip was going to be able to join me. I have not been able to reach him, and I needed to get started, so flying solo once again. But we're going to have a lot of fun. I've got a little bit of news and a couple of trailers today that we'll get into, and some kind of unexpected news. Something that was kind of odd, and maybe you've heard some of this week, but I don't know. But let's get into this here. It's about time. I figure we'll just turn the corner right quick and jump into some news.
Spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
I really still need to rename this this segment instead of news from around Neverland, because I'm really not probing around Disney, but we do have some Disney news actually, and even a Disney trailer here in the show. Now, I didn't in the beginning talk about what I've been playing, because I'm still playing the same thing I've been playing now for the past couple of months. I need to get back on to the City of Heroes game, for in case anybody's jumped on there to try to play with me. What I've been watching, I'm not ready to do a full review yet, but I did watch the first episode of Knuckles. That has premiered, and I think the entire series is on there. So Knuckles is available for watching. That is, of course, the Sonic character. This picks up not right after, but after Sonic 2, and we've got a Sonic 3 coming. And this is kind of in the meantime, we get a little side story with Knuckles. I feel like I need to watch Sonic 2 again, because I don't know if I remember the character of Wade from the previous movies. Maybe I do, but I don't know that I need to watch those movies again. They're fun movies anyway. And so far the series is just as much fun as the movies. But that's what I've been watching right now this week. Other than for those of you who are fans of Diz Radio over there with Jonathan Johnson, my assignment this week is actually to watch a docuseries on Netflix and talk about it. And I don't think I'm going to have time to get through the entire series, but I'm going to at least try to be able to talk about some of the things I've learned, because he's got one of the American Gladiators on his show this week. So make sure you check that out. I've got to get my segment into him by Thursday night. So in order to get going with that, I got to get going with this. And as you notice, we are in the news segment, and I have not yet spoken any news. All right, so this from Variety, Scooby-Doo live-action series in the works at Netflix. Yes, a live-action Scooby-Doo series could be soon coming to Netflix. This is a 1-hour drama project said to be nearing a deal at the streamer and a script-to-series commitment. Plot details are being kept under wraps. It will be based on the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Warner Brothers Television will produce, with the studio recently having launched the Dead Boys Detective series on Netflix. We've got Josh Applebaum and Scott Rosenberg serving as writers, and will also executive produce along with Andre Nemec and Jeff Pinker under their Midnight Radio banner. We've got Greg Berlanti, Sarah Schechter, and Leah London Redmond executive producing through the Berlanti Productions. They're with the deal with WDTV. For those of you who used to watch Arrow and The Flash and stuff like that, Greg Berlanti's name should be kind of familiar. Reps for both Netflix and WBTV had declined to comment when someone tried to ask them. But this, it's a new setup, I guess. They're not really trying to follow up with the old movies from like 2002 and that kind of thing. There was a live action TV movie, Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins, and had a sequel released in 2009 and 2010. There's been a wide range of Scooby-Doo animated projects over the year, including actually this Mindy Kaling voiced Velma series, which people have been laughing about how the second, like they were surprised the second season even happened, but the second season wraps it up by in a very ridiculous way. We'll just say that. I don't want to spoil it in case you're trying to watch it, but I'm not watching it, but I thought it's hilarious what they did because from what I've read and seen of it, I'm not going to watch it. So the odd thing is like I have not enjoyed really anything Warner Brothers has done with the Hanna-Barbera characters myself. Something is like the magic of the characters isn't there. It's like they somehow or another didn't capture everything that Hanna-Barbera did with these characters and a lot of their other characters. Somehow or another, it's just not clicking. And I don't know what they're getting wrong, but I watched the first Scooby-Doo live action movie. I was all excited for it. Did not like it. Didn't bother watching the second one. And I haven't really watched anything since. I've tried to watch some of the new cartoons that come around, but somehow or another, they just don't capture what that original series was like and what I grew up with even in the 80s before Warner Brothers bought them out. So it's going to take a lot for me to think that I want to give this a try. Something else, though, that's very interesting. So we've heard very little about Tron Ares, other than it is moving along. But 74-year-old actor Jeff Bridges has made some comments that he's going to be appearing even in this one. This is Jared Leto starring in this one. There's some imagery I had seen where someone else. I cannot think of the Cameron Monaghan. There we go. Cameron Monaghan is also in there. We've also got Greta Lee, Evan Peters, Hassan Minhaj, Jodie Turner-Smith, Arturo Castro, and Gillian Anderson are supposed to be popping up in this. Some of the characters will don striking new red light suits. And according to the synopsis for the movie, it is to tell the story of a highly sophisticated program, Ares, who is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission, marking humankind's first encounter with AI beings. The thing is, Tron Legacy had an AI character who came out of the world, and I don't know if they really explained how that's supposed to work. Heck, it's a weird bit of science fiction that Flynn got himself digitized into the system and then back out again anyway. But we had an AI character who got out of the grid and into the real world. And at some point, I guess the thought was that they would continue what that would be like and what that character's adventures would be or whatever outside of the computer world. But time kind of moved on and they didn't get going with a third film. So they're taking, I guess, some of the ideas and running forward with it and calling it, quote unquote, the first time people interacting with an AI being like this. And they should have interacted with the other character, but I guess they didn't. So we'll just see. I don't know if people are really that interested in a Tron movie that's set completely outside of the world of Tron and in the real world, but we'll just have to see what we get when it comes out. But Jeff Bridges did comment of how he was de-aged in Tron Legacy. He said he looked more like Bill Maher than himself, and it was kind of bizarre. And yeah, it did look kind of weird. It was enough to where you kind of get by. It worked for me in the fact that he's supposed to be in a computer world, so him having a computerized face, somehow or another, just it looked like it fit, although everybody else's face looked normal. But Tron Legacy just feels entirely different from the original Tron. But I was able to kind of go along with like, well, computers have advanced in technology by now, so I have to expect things might be a bit different. So we'll see how things will look in this third movie. Here's something else that's weird, and you may have heard about this. Dallas Jenkins actually shared this, and funny enough, Inside the Magic actually got something right again. They haven't got anything right hardly since Ricky Brigani owned that, but they've become more of a clickbait website for Disney News. But when Dallas Jenkins shares it, the creator of The Chosen, you would tend to believe it. But Disney Plus is going to have The Chosen by association of the fact that Hulu will have all 3 seasons currently of The Chosen. The 4th is still under production, I believe. But they're about to pop up on Hulu, which will make them available on Disney Plus. This, I guess, also gives some hopes that Disney Plus will start getting some more viewers, because you can watch a lot of Hulu programming directly on Disney Plus now. So I might watch it through Disney Plus because I won't have ads that way. Well, I say that because I've got the an ad version of Hulu through my phone company with T-Mobile is covering my Hulu, so I was able to change my bundle with Disney Plus down to just a Disney Plus without ads. But the last time I watched something on Disney Plus, I got ads in front of it to advertise different programs that were available on Disney Plus. Which, hey, I'm supposed to not have ads. That counts as an ad, and that annoys me when that happens. So I don't know. But I will probably watch through Disney Plus. I haven't watched all of the first season. I have enjoyed what I have watched, but I haven't really sat down to watch a lot of shows. I need to sit down and watch stuff. I'm a lot behind on a lot of TV viewing. I play games instead of watching TV, or I watch YouTube. So and here's something else that I'm glad he's saying it. Chris Hemsworth, according to Collider, Chris Hemsworth admits he became a parody of himself in Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, I believe I said that they made a complete buffoon out of the character of Thor in that movie, and that's something I held against it. Even though it has some funny moments, it was too much. And some different things that he said. He said they went too far with improv and comedy on Thor: Love and Thunder, and of course he felt like he was a parody of himself. He aims to redeem his performance in future Thor films, acknowledging the need for a better balance of humor and heroism. Some viewers critique Love and Thunder for its excessive levity and lack of depth, signaling a tonal shift from earlier installments. Yeah, Ragnarok, it had a good balance of stuff, and it was funny, but yet it was still serious enough, and it seems to work. But they just went way too far, and this apparently from an article that was in Vanity Fair, and Collider got their information from that. So I suppose that gives me some hope for the next Thor movie, that maybe they'll get back on track a little bit. Some humor is fine. Having humor in a movie is good, but you got to make sure the character is consistent with who they are. And that was what Love and Thunder did not keep Thor consistent with who he is. Ragnarok, I felt like he was more consistent. He was still him. He just was in some funny situations and had funnier characters around him, and that made it work. So, yeah, I think they've got a point, and hopefully with the next Thor film, we'll see them get back true to form. That's all I've got for news. I do want to, though, remind you, if you visit NeverlandPodcasts.com, you'll find a big W logo. If you click there, you can get a discount. Order you some energy drinks that will not give you the jitters. It's a powdered mix. You just mix it in water. And, of course, I get a little bit of kickback, so it does help me out if you go through my site to order you some W, W.GG, discount code Neverland. Make sure you go and check that out and try it out. There are lots of different flavors. Plus, you probably need to drink more water anyway. So some water with a little bit of good, healthy energy in there. Help you stay up late with your games, which I'm getting to the age where I don't stay up that late playing games anymore. But it's time we go to the trailer park.
Mama, another gator got in the house.
Another gator? Give me that shovel. Come here.
Get him, Mama. Get that gator.
The Neverland Trailer Park.
No one said, hey, you know that Lion King animated computer animated movie we got that you called live action? Let's have a prequel to that. I don't remember anyone saying that, but Disney's answer to that was...
This story begins far beyond the mountains and the shadows. On the other side of the light. A lion was born without a drop of nobility in his blood. A lion who would change our lives forever. Mufasa. The earth will shake. Destiny awaits you.
So, Mufasa the Lion King enlists Rafiki to relay the legend of Mufasa to young lion cub Kiara, daughter of Simba and Nala, with Timon and Pumbaa. Wait, what? With Timon and Pumbaa lending their signature stick. Okay, so told in flashbacks, the story introduces Mufasa as an orphan cub, lost and alone until he meets a sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. The chance meeting sets in motion an expansive journey of the extraordinary group of misfits searching for their destiny. Their bonds will be tested as they work together to evade a threatening and deadly foe. I guess they're saying the movie enlists Rafiki. That was a very strange way for them to write a sentence, right? It just doesn't make sense. This is coming to theaters December 20th. It's about the same time I think they're going to have a Moana sequel out there. But this has got Aaron Pierre as Mufasa, Kevin Harrison Jr. as Taka, Tiffany Bone as Sarabi, Kagiso Ladiga as her young Rafiki, Preston Nyman as Zazu, Mads Mikkelsen as Kyros, Thandui Newton as Taka's mother Eshi, Lenny James as Taka's father, Keith David as Mufasa's father Mosego, Seth Rogen is back as Pumbaa, Billy Eichner is back as Timon, Donald Glover is back as Simba. This is a prequel to the quote-unquote live action, which I kind of liked it. But I mean, the animals were very much expressionless, but that's the way animals really are, and that was the biggest criticism they have. Right now, the likes more than double. The dislikes more than double the likes on this trailer here on YouTube. They got Lin-Manuel Miranda to come and write some songs. That might be helping them out, but I don't expect this to really do that well. I even saw some people who were saying, like, hey, there was already a canon backstory for Mufasa and Scar, and why are we doing this and reinventing it? And the weird thing is, okay, there almost was a little bit of I want to say a realism, but not quite. Because they would call it Pride Rock. So you know what a lion's pride is, right? Okay, let's talk some real actual nature. So a male lion will have a pride of lionesses, and maybe there'll be another male in there, but the other male will not have mating rights, okay? So I always found it weird when we got to an animated series that we had a lion queen, and I was like, do they not know what a pride is, how this works? It started getting kind of silly, but I mean, I guess this is Disney, but I mean, I'm sorry, that bugged me, because I was like, I know what a pride of lions is. I know how that's supposed to work and how, King of the Jungle, whatever, but you're in head of a pride, and that's really kind of what Mufasa was and what Simba got, is that you have a pride of lionesses. That is your pride, and you have to fight for it, and he did. Okay. Moving on. All righty, let's dive into something else that I saw that this I'm actually interested in watching.
Hello there, my name is Jim Henson, and I'm a puppeteer.
Sesame Street. The Muppets.
Dark Crystal.
Labyrinth. Jim created out of innocence.
He showed people the good in all of us.
Is this a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah, it's every moment of one's life kind of job, those things.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side?
From a very early age, he had the feeling that he was here for a purpose.
Characters come about from many different ways.
It was my mother's coat and a ping pong ball. That's how it all started.
He had so many ideas and so many things he wanted to do. His inner life must have been sparkling.
The space he gave to an expression of imagination, I see that in everything that he did.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks.
Rainbows are visions, but only illusions.
There was nothing that Jim didn't entertain.
And everything was getting a little bit bigger.
Becoming famous was what he wanted, that there was an innocence getting lost. Was going to impact his relationship with us and everything that was complex.
He wanted to do more than is humanly possible.
That idea that time could run out
was just unthinkable.
If Jim was here, I just have to thank him.
Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and
Jim Henson, Idea Man, starts streaming on May 31st from filmmaker Ron Howard. This takes us into the mind of a singular creative visionary from his early years puppeteering on local television to worldwide success of Sesame Street, The Muppet Show, and beyond. Featuring unprecedented access to Jim's personal archives, Howard brings us a fascinating and insightful look at a complex man whose boundless imagination inspired the world. I am looking forward to checking this out. I definitely want to see this. Jim Henson is one of these great creative people like Stan Lee and Walt Disney and Jim Henson. Those are people I love their creations. I love what they've done. There is something else that is a bit kind of almost news. This just came out today, but there is a trailer with it. This isn't a movie, though. This is a game. There is a Funko game where imagine, and I guess this would be similar to the Lego Dimensions and maybe a little bit Disney Infinity, where you have multiple worlds that they can bring together. It's called Funko Fusion. And they worked with NBC Universal, so a lot of Universal film properties and probably some television properties all being brought together with Funko Pop's characters, which you get to play in an adventure. And imagine being in the worlds of Back to the Future and Jaws and all kinds of different stuff. But the reveal trailer came out today. I don't remember if there was any dialogue when I watched this earlier, but here you go. Here's some audio. Jurassic Park. I'll just list these out for you.
Waited. Misshapen in the darkness. I have watched your worlds with envious eyes. Soon, I will be ready, and in countless forms, I will strike. Your worlds will fall, and your people will suffer. And then all your power will be mine. So get ready, Freddy.
September 13th, 2024. This is coming out. They've got some pre-order things you get, some Walking Dead characters if you pre-order stuff. But Masters of the Universe, Back to the Future, The Thing, so much. Invincible, I think I saw. I mean, just they quickly list a lot of different stuff that's being a part of this. Just nearly anything you could think of that NBC and Universal own, or NBC Universal as one company own. that Funko has made toys of is coming around on like Megan, Xena Warrior Princess, Hot Fuzz, Nope, Five Nights at Freddy's, just everything, a lot of different stuff listed here. Shaun of the Dead, Chucky, Battlestar Galactica, the Umbrella Academy, a lot of stuff. And so that just sounds ridiculously and fun. Even they got a picture of from The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and they've got a pop here of Brendan Fraser they got photos of. So yes, this trailer kind of got my interest. I'm saving up for my Aerith toy right now, so I won't be saving up for any games for a while, but I think I'm going to look into this. That might be just some silly fun. It looks like a little bit more violent than I would have expected when you have like toys as your main characters. There's a bit where a helicopter blade goes plowing right into somebody's head, and there's even shots where beheaded Funko Pops, and there's like blood on the ground. So it seems a little strange that they've gone that direction, that violent. So we'll see what it's like when the finished product comes out. Either way, I'm actually quite interested in checking this out. Okay, so now it's time to take a quick break for a couple of ads before we dive into our main content. So stick around. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Okay, thank you for sticking around there. Those of you who are, of course, patrons on Patreon, or you've got the exclusive feed or exclusive members through Red Circle, you didn't hear any ads. You just heard basically some dead air, I guess. But you didn't have to hear the ads. Those of you who are hearing ads in there, it does help me out to have a few ads on there, but you can help me out even more by becoming a patron. We have Patreon links at neverlandpodcast.com, of course, and through our Red Circle, you can find right there in the show notes, even for Red Circle for the exclusive membership, that you can join that as well, and you can help produce this show. And you get ad-free shows and any bonus things that I develop or bring around, you'll get those as well, because you're going to get some stuff on Patreon and whatnot that most people don't get, including some video and stuff like that. So, hey, worth it. Okay, so I'm calling this Biblical Lessons Learned from Unusual Places. And some of these, that if you've been with me and listened to the show for a long time, you're going to know a couple of these that I'm going to mention to you. Rocky Balboa says, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take, that's how winning is done. And I've got some of these are tied into verses. Now, of course, I did seek out the help of some listeners and other podcasters and friends. And I really need to go and open up something here real quick. I want to read for you James chapter 1. Well, that's an NIV version, but I think I'm going to just go for it here. They're consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing your faith produces perseverance, and let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And that's what I've pulled through. You know, it's perseverance. That's what a lot of the Rocky films were about. But this particular thing of, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. You're going to face trials in life. And it's not how hard you hit back at that, but it's, can you keep going when you're facing those trials? And of course, through our faith, having God with you helps. God does not abandon you when you face those trials. Sometimes he'll kind of be quiet and he'll let you go through and face a few things. But he doesn't leave. Sometimes you're just not aware how much he's there, but he won't let you fall all the way. He's going to pick you back up, but sometimes he's got to teach you some new things and give you endurance that it's not always easy to do, right? But we got to go through these type of things. It happens. Next thing I got from Spider-Man, and all of you are going to know this. You know what I'm about to say. With great power comes great responsibility. And let me read for you Matthew 25, verses 14 through 30. Give me a second to pull this up. Alrighty, it's the parable of the talents. For it is just like a man about to go on a journey, who called his own slaves and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his own ability. And he went on his journey. Immediately, the one who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and gained 5 more talents. In the same manner, the one who had received 2 talents gained 2 more. But he who received the 1 talent went away and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. The one who had received the 5 talents came up and brought 5 more talents, saying, Master, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I've gained 5 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. I don't like the fact that it says slave in here, this translation, but a servant. You were faithful in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Also, the one who had received the 2 talents came up and said, Master, you entrusted me with 2 talents, and see, I've gained 2 more. And his master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with a few things, and I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. And the one who also received the 1 talent came up and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. And I was afraid, and I went ahead, and I hid your talent in the ground. And see, you have what is yours. But his master answered and said to him, You wicked, lazy slave. You knew that I reap where I did not sow, and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have put my money in the bank, and on my arrival I would have received my money back with interest. Therefore take away the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more shall be given, and he will have an abundance. But for the one who does not have, even what he does have will be taken away. Throw out the worthless servant into the outer darkness, and that place will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. There are other verses in there where it almost says, the more you have, more is expected of you. That is, of course, with great power, great responsibility. We all have a certain amount of, well, I like that it's talents in there. Those are a type of coin, I guess, or money. We all have talents or abilities. And the more talent and ability you have, the more you're expected to use those and produce fruit and do something. And you're experiencing me trying to produce fruit right now and trying to use my talents through this. And as we discussed a few weeks ago, I'm focusing more attention onto this to try to help learn some things and share some things. And here it is. So this is me using my talents to try to do some good for you and share with you and minister to you in such a way. So hopefully you are getting some stuff out of this. But this is, whatever it is your ability is, whether you feel like you got a small amount of talents or a large amount, putting them to good use and not just for self-interest. I mean, you can use it for a good job and everything, but finding ways to be benefit. But you have a responsibility to use those abilities. And if you sit there and just like hide that away and say, well, I'm just going to do this over there, then you're kind of just being useless and lazy is what this is telling us. Okay, now, of course, we already talked about Aerith Gainsborough last week, but I did mention her from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. She gives a speech about the past being set in stone, but real strength comes from forgiveness. She even has a wounded tormentor named Sung. And I was going to post that image. I need to make sure I post this image and everything. I took a snapshot of with the caption there where she says, I never hated you. This is somebody who, ever since she was a child, he was the head of the Turks, and the Turks kind of kept her trapped in this area and were always watching her because they wanted to get her back into a Shinra lab where she'd be a specimen. And he's even the one that negotiates a deal with her and gets her back into a specimen lab in the first of the remake games and also in the original game. They kind of gets taken in, but she has to go willingly. Apparently there's something about that, but so he's been a torment to her entire life, but she never hated him. So let's look at Philippians 3:13 and 14 real quick. This is the verse I found that kind of fit. Brothers and sisters, I do not regard myself as having taken hold of it yet, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Jesus Christ. And that, I thought, fit very well with what she says, that the past is set in stone, but real strength, of course, coming from forgiveness, and the future is not set yet for us. And, this is an example also of loving your enemies, blessing those who curse you. This person cursed you. She does have, issue still Hojo, where she does have hate for him. It'd be hard not to. It'd be hard to love that enemy. But she even, when you're in combat, she even says with certain enemies, like, sorry, but I gotta, she's got little sayings like that. It's like she doesn't want to have to do what she's got to do, but she's got to keep pressing forward and defeat various monsters with the rest of the party. But you keep pressing on through the future. It almost ties into a little bit of how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And she does that. She gets hit hard, but she keeps moving forward, and she doesn't, let the past dwell on. She forgives those who wronged her in the past so she can move on, because holding on to the bitterness, it hurts you, and it doesn't hurt the person that you're holding the bitterness against. So it's better to forgive. Okay. Ooh, Andy Griffith had a lot of example. I wanted to have Philip on. I bet she would have told me different things. So Andy Griffith show always has some stuff. I think we talked about that a long time ago. But some of the stuff I've got from outside, T.A. Flatland sent me a scene from Minority Report. And here's what they said on the Facebook comment. Said the scene in Minority Report with Tom Cruise where he has to rely on Agatha, one of the precogs, to get away from trouble. It mirrors relying on God when we were asked to do things we don't understand. And I actually just went through this in Judges today with the Daily Audio Bible, the story of Gideon. He's got quite a foe that God calls him to go and like the Midianites and Amalekites. He's got to go and fight them. And he starts out with like 10,000 men. And it has reduce, and even like ridiculous ways to reduce, like take your guy, anybody who wants to go home, just let them go home. And then takes them to a river. God's telling him, all right, go and wash the way they drink. The ones who are lapping it up kind of like a dog, we'll keep them. And he only ends up with 300 men to go up to a fight. And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to do any of this, but God had a plan, and they got the victory. And it's God who got the victory, and you couldn't blame it on that having superior numbers. It was only 300. And even Joshua, with the Battle of Jericho, he's marching around Jericho for days, just marching around it. It seems completely and utterly ridiculous, but it had purpose, and God was getting the glory, and God gave them victory. And this scene in Minority Report, he's fleeing the people that are coming after him because he's popped up. And Minority Report is basically, I haven't watched it. I need to probably watch it. It's science fiction where they can predict that you're going to commit a crime, and they're going to arrest you before you do it. So Tom Cruise's character is suddenly now being hunted by these people, and he's got a precognitive character, which the precogs are the ones, I guess, that determine that you're going to do a crime, is telling him ridiculous stuff like, oh, yeah, give money to this homeless person and hold on to this balloon and wait here. And it all you get to see, at first it seems ridiculous, but then you start seeing how the weird things he's doing is actually helping him escape and be protected and not spotted by the people hunting him. And that's, I don't have specific verses in this, but this is something we've just learned in life. There's a lot of stuff. Well, I mean, I have stories I just told you about, but God frequently does stuff that doesn't make sense to us, but his ways are not our ways. And we sometimes when we come out the other side, we see what's going on. There's a lot of stuff I still don't understand that I think I've told you all many times. I take a sample out of the Chronicles of Narnia with a horse and his boy. I want to have that conversation where I want to sit in God's lap and just ask him, well, I want to see my life through your eyes and your perspective and see what it is that I couldn't understand. I want to see all that and understand all the different things going on. Okay, well, in between getting different comments, I started thinking of other examples from Lord of the Rings. Sam to Frodo when he says, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. We're told in the Bible to bear one another's burdens. Within, of course, your Christian brotherhoods and sisters. And that's part of like going to a regular church and having other people that you can go to, have those people that you can go to that help carry the burden. And a cord of three, what is the line here? It's not easily broken. Standing together, don't go face everything alone. That's a really good example right there. Also, I wrote down He-Man and Superman. They're more powerful than anyone that's around them, but they don't use that power to rule over, but they use it to serve and to rescue and to help. And they know where their power comes from. He-Man, of course, calls on the power of Grayskull and gets it. And Superman, of course, he's almost like a solar battery. He absorbs the sun's rays, and our yellow sun is what fuels the powers with how his body was, his body mass is. And but this is very similar to like Jesus, the suffering servant. He's God, and yet we see him washing the feet of his disciples. And he's trying to teach them and being the servant of all, even to the servant willing to go to the cross and die. And so that's He-Man and Superman are willing to put their lives on the line to protect the people and to serve the people and to rescue. And because Superman doesn't seem like he risks death, but he has. Well, I guess he's more swooned than died. If you go and read the death of Superman, you find out that he just really needed to have a chance to heal up from all that had happened to him. And He-Man is not completely invulnerable. In the old Masters of the Universe cartoon, we would see, he would be in danger. But there's more powerful, most powerful man in the universe, as they would say. But he used it to serve, and he didn't want to do any harm with it. And there's even a great episode where he thinks he's killed someone, and he wants to give up the power because of that. And finds out, of course, he's been tricked by Skeletor. Spoiler warning, but It's been 20 plus years. I mean, like almost 40. Yeah, at least 40 years. Yeah, because Master Universe has been around for 40 years, so that happened in the cartoon at least probably close to 40 years ago. Okay, so other comments I got from John Losh. This is a fellow I know. He's been on the show a long, long time ago. He lists the 1989 Batman movie. When Vicky discovers Bruce is Batman, she says, "I don't understand all this. Why you? Why now?" And he talks about how he doesn't always understand it, but the Joker's out there right now, and he has to go to work. This is the way it is. There's no one else that can do what he's got to do. It's not a perfect world. Well, it doesn't have to be a perfect world, but he's still fighting for it, right? Because there's no one else who can do what he does. No one else has taken the time to become who he was, to become Batman. Took years, right? To gain the abilities and have all the gear and have the money to use all the gear. Only he could have become Batman and have the drive to do what he does. But anyways, John Lash, on his own comments, he says he tells people sometimes will question our dedication to our faith and service to our churches and community for Christ, and they say they don't understand why us and why now. Sometimes we may not always understand, but the church community world that needs to be served for Christ and have the gospel shared with him are out there right now, and we have to go to work. He also mentions something else here. It says the entity encountered by the Enterprise crew in Star Trek V that claimed to be God said he needed their starship. And when Kirk says, "Excuse me, but what does God need with a starship?" McCoy, believing this was God, says, "Jim, you don't ask the Almighty for his ID." And then he tells people when God calls you to ministry service and you know who he is, don't ask the Almighty for his ID. Instead, like Isaiah, you say, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And he's got Isaiah 6:8 and John 20:21. I think he meant, of course, chapter 20, verse 21. To say that with, of course, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And him speaking of Star Trek also reminded me the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, which was from, of course, the Wrath of Khan. And that is, of course, a good story. No greater love has anyone than this, but they lay down their life for their friends. That is, the needs, your needs of these many people outweigh my needs and everything. Also heard from Phil Lawler, and he says, John McClane, the Die Hard movies, he fights evil despite overwhelming odds. He defends the innocent at great personal cost and bodily harm. And in the Live Free and Die Hard, he has an incredible take on heroism. The young man he is protecting calls him a hero. Now, here's quotes from the movie. He's got in quotes. He said, "Do you know what you get for being a hero?" John McClane asks. "Nothing. You get shot at. Pat on the back, blah, blah, blah. Attaboy. You get divorced. Your wife can't remember your last name. Kids don't want to talk to you. You get to eat a lot of meals by yourself. Trust me, kid, nobody wants to be that guy." And the young man asks, "Then why do it?" And the answer is, "Because there is nobody else to do it right now." McClane snaps at him, "Believe me, if there was somebody else to do it, I would let them do it. There's not, so I'm doing it." The young man looks at him and says quietly, "That's what makes you that guy." So being where God wants you to be and doing what God calls you to do, despite the personal cost you may have, is the lesson he's sharing with this. He also lists a lot of different characters. Atticus Finch, which I believe that's To Kill a Mockingbird, is it? Or I don't know. I know I'm familiar with that name. It's a Jimmy Stewart character. George Bailey, come on, George Bailey, It's a Wonderful Life. There you go. There's an example. Martin Pauly, I don't know who that is. Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, Harry Potter. Now Harry Potter I can get. You even have a sacrificial thing and even get an example from his mother where love and to protect, sacrificing himself to protect, because he goes even knowing after what his mother had did that laying your life down for someone else gives protection from the person who wants to harm you. And he's, in order to save his friends, he was willing to go and be sacrificed to Voldemort. So yeah, there's definitely Harry Potter. Severus Snape at great personal risk, all the things he did for love. Jacob McCandless, Sidney Carton, Rick Blaine, Melanie Wilkes, Robin of Locksley. There's one I know, of course, Robin Hood, and Jean Valjean. These are all people that he gets lessons from. Now, I don't think I was specific enough sometimes when I was asking that. I wanted to know, well, what is it you learned from these characters? Because I started getting just a list of characters. Jesse Kirsch said, Marmee from Little Women is such an example of faithfulness in the everyday drudgery. Actually, Ashlyn Dennison said, Once Upon a Time, of course, the series. The entire show is about how just because the world pulls you down, you don't have to conform to it. And we're told in the Bible, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Alice George says, a lot of classic literature shows redemption. Off the top of my head, Crime and Punishment, Silas Marner, Les Miserables. I think I've seen Les Miserables, and he redeems a lot of different people. D. Pine says, the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whaler Turner shows me so much how dedication to a crowned ruler must be absolute. I don't get to call God my king and not act like he is actually the ruler. There are consequences for not obeying the crowned ruler. And in this series, the gods do actually interact with the lead, or they interact with and lead their faithful followers, though most of the people don't believe they exist anymore. It's a favorite series of mine, and I love the lessons taught, even if they were never intended. Parker Hankins says, all the characters of the Baker Family Adventure series, they learn so many difficult things that bring points to mentally biblical truths and values. I have no idea what the Baker Family Adventure series is. Elizabeth Edmondson said, Sir Percy from the Scarlet Pimpernel is a kind of type of Christ. She sees some Christ-like examples, and yeah, he is very sacrificial. I have read the Scarlet Pimpernel, and you got Percy, who acts very foppish and useless in his regular life in England, and doesn't reveal who he actually does and the great risk he does trying to save lives during the French Revolution. And there's a great bit that I did remember, and I was talking to her about this on Facebook, of where his wife, who he adores, she thinks he's useless. But she goes into a place, and he kisses literally where her feet had walked into the place. He loves her dearly, but can't reveal who he is, although she goes chasing after him as the Scarlet Pimpernel, not knowing that's what she's doing, that it's him. So it's a very good book. I did listen to the audiobook of the second one and enjoyed that as well. But yeah, risking personal safety to save lives. But that's all I've got for you this week. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you got a few lessons, and maybe you thought of a few characters that have taught you something. If so, please feel free to send us an email, podcast@neverlandpodcast.com. Say something on our Facebook group where I've posted this episode. You go and post something, or maybe some characters that taught you some different things. I want to remind you about Podgagement. Podgagement, of course, if you happen to have a podcast, you want to be able to get reviews from wherever they've come from, wherever around the world. Podgagement is your way. You can get them sent right to your email. That also gives you methods for people to leave you reviews, which, hey, leave some reviews. You can find links right there like that on neverlandpodcast.com to leave us some reviews. We do need some. We haven't had any reviews in a while. All right, we want to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the Will Height and Wall Show for helping me out with the show's introduction. I already mentioned, of course, our podcast. We also are on X or Twitter.com @NeverlandPcast. Facebook, we have a fan page and a group. You can interact more with the group, so I do recommend it. And, of course, you can join the Neverlanders at NeverlandPodcast.com. Choose yourself a nickname and join the Lost Boys or Pixies. Why do we have Pixies and not Lost Girls? Because girls are too clever. They don't get lost. Don't forget, of course, join the Patreon, patreon.com/NeverlandPodcast. That is where you can start getting an exclusive feed for you that gets you all those exclusive audios, and you don't have to hear the ads in the middle of the show, at the beginning of the show, at the end of the show. You won't have them pop up at all. You'll get your own feed. You can even do that if you become an exclusive member through Red Circle, which you will find that link, of course, in the show notes. All right, but that's all I have for you for this week. Make sure you check out Diz Radio this week. I'm hoping I'm going to get my segment done for that show by Thursday and have that in, and you'll hear that very soon. But until then, get lost in an adventure. See you next time.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.